Hi everybody and welcome to Wednesday Night Live. Tonight we're going to talk about trusting Tracey. But before I get into trusting Tracey, I just wanted to talk to you about my background and where I'm at in the renovation journey, because some of you are playing along at home. So clearly my background last week was terrible because all my stuff had been taken out of my office. And my husband, who was beautifully watching my live as he was sitting in an airport at a Melbourne hotel, he came home and he said, "Oh my God, that looked terrible. All I saw was that background." So tonight he set me up beautifully in front of the fish tank. Even though there's chaos all around me on the other side, you can't really see it. So you can watch the beautiful fish swim in the background while I talk to you about trusting Tracey. So trusting Tracey is the first of the self-belief characters. I'm not really doing that very well, am I? There you go. And her flower is the delphinium, and the delphinium means self-trust. So as we head into this self-belief stage, we're moving on from the self-confidence, and essentially trusting Tracey and trust is the crux of self-belief. It is everything that encompasses self-belief. If you have no self-trust, then self-belief becomes very, very hard. So self-trust is all about trusting your decisions, trusting your feelings, trusting your intuition, trusting your gut, trusting your beliefs, all those kinds of things. Because what I've learned and what I'm realizing every single day along my change journey is all of us have the answers that we need within us. And we all search externally for answers, and we're looking for validation, and we're looking for somebody to tell us that we're right. But actually, we have all the answers that we need in us. And it's just a matter of shining the light on those and finding them, and then trusting that they are the right thing for us, and then moving forward with it. So essentially, if you're going to be working on your self-belief, you want to have trust. And a lot of us really, really struggle with that. Mostly because we're not used to going within. We're really used to going to that external validation, like I just mentioned. So when we flip it over and we start going within for answers, we're like, well, how do we know that's right? So the best way that you can know and learn to trust is to go with your feelings. So if something feels amazing, if something feels good, if something feels doable, then they're the things that you want to do. And really what it comes down to is when you have to make a decision, finding a decision that you know you can trust. And that's where it comes down to my head and heart exercise that I talk about in the book. And this is an exercise that I use all the time. Every decision that I have to make, every big decision I have to make, I use my head and heart exercise. So let me explain to you how this works. Basically, you have a big decision to make. For instance, I had a big decision to make. Hey Amanda, nice to see you. I had a big decision to make to leave my marriage. So really, I'm unsure about this decision, not sure if it's the right thing for me to do, blah, blah, blah. And there's no trust there. So I do the exercise with my head, and I pull out a piece of paper in my journal and I go, what are all the reasons that are logical that I shouldn't leave my marriage? So there were things like unknown where I would live, my money, what would happen to the boys. There was a lot of fear, and all these logical reasons of, well, you've never lived by yourself before. Like it got down to the point where, what if it's scary living on your own? Like, what if you end up not being able to sleep at night because you're freaking out that somebody's going to break into your house? Like, that's how my head was thinking. It was just all these what ifs about all this negativity. and not negativity, but just unknowns. And so all these things were, if I make the decision with my head, then all these unknowns can happen. But also on the positive side, making the decision with my head, there were lots of positives. Well, I'd be secure, I know where I'm going to live, I have an income coming in, so all these things. So the negatives and the positives are all sitting there in this head exercise around what is the logical reasons why you should make a decision or not make a decision. But then when you've got all those logical reasons out, you put your head aside and you go into your heart and you start to really feel that decision. And this is where it's not logical at all. It doesn't even matter what you feel, but you feel into that, and you feel into this decision about, if I make this decision, what does it feel like? And then journal on that, and you go really deep into that. And then you go, well, if I make this decision, if I don't make this decision, what does that feel like? So for me, when I did this, I had all my logical stuff, put it aside. Then I was like, well, what does it feel like if I leave my marriage? Well, it felt exciting, even though it was scary. It felt possible. It felt new opportunities. It felt freedom. And it felt, even though it was so scary, like so unknown and so scary, there was excitement. And like, I can remember sitting there looking at some units online and just going, oh, I could live here all on my own with the 2 boys, and how amazing would that be? Like, there was this excitement in there, and it felt free and exciting and happy and joyful. And so then I would flip that occasion and I would say, okay, so what does it feel like if I stay in my marriage? And for me, that was just heavy. It was really, really heavy, and it wasn't disastrous, and I could have done it, but it just felt really heavy. So for me, when I did this head and heart exercise, my head solutions were saying you should stay because there's too many unknowns. But my heart decision was saying it's time to go, it's time to fly the coop, and it is time for you to shine. And that's what I went with. And from that day forward, I use this in every single big decision I make. And it is unbelievable how when you start to make your decisions using the head and heart exercise, that your trust levels within your own intuition and your own belief increase tenfold. So it's the only tool I have that I use to increase my trust, because I then go with my gut and I go with my intuition and I go with my feelings, and I know whatever happens, no matter how scary or whatever the outcomes, I made the right decision for me, and that's trust. And that is what Trusting Tracey is about. It's about learning to trust you and your intuition and your feelings. So I really encourage you this week that if you have struggled with this in the past, that it's definitely something I would recommend you practicing. Do some big decision making and do the head and heart exercise, and really have a look at how you feel about your decisions. If this is still really difficult for you, I want you to look back on your life and have a look at other decisions you've made where you trusted your gut or you trusted your intuition. Because we're about to go into this whole self-belief module at the moment, and we've got 3 more characters to talk about. And we're going to talk about how you can bring more self-belief in. But if you can't trust your self-belief, then it's the essence of everything about you. Because trust is so important in our world. If we have somebody that we trust, we feel safe and we can share things with them. But if we have somebody who's sabotaged us in the past and we don't trust them, then you feel unsafe. So if you flip that over and turn that into you inside, if you don't trust you, you don't feel safe. So this self-trust is the most magical experience that you can give yourself. So I really invite you to bring in as much trusting Tracey this week as you can. It'll increase your self-confidence. It will decrease your reliance on others, because remember last week we talked about how we're always looking to the external for validation. Well, this is about bringing it back to you, and that you don't have to look to external people to validate your decisions or your thoughts. You can trust that what you're doing and what you're thinking and what you're believing is perfect for you at the perfect time. So I hope that helps. It was just a quickie tonight because, and look at all the fish just sitting there on the rock. Just a quickie. And I guess the thing, and I think I said this last week too, is these characters aren't complicated. And so I'm all about giving these quick messages that make sense and not just rabbiting on for the sake of rabbiting on. I really just want to give you the quick snapshot and the bit of expansion on the character for you that you can maybe help for you. So I hope that helped. I hope you can bring in some trusting Tracey this week. Really practice. Please let me know how you go. Do the head and heart exercise and tell me what it feels like. Like, just share with me and share in the group some of the feelings that you got from some of the decisions that you had to make, and see how you go. So I hope that helps. Thanks for tuning in, Amanda, and anybody else who's here live. And I'll see you next week. Next week we're going to talk about intuitive Ingrid. I think I'm going to have a lot more to say about intuitive Ingrid, because we're going to build on the trust and the self-belief. So it'll probably be a biggie. So have a great week, and I'll see you then. Bye.